Imagine this. You're deep in prayer, each Hail Mary flowing from your lips like a whisper from the heart, when suddenly, snap, your rosary breaks in your hand. The beads scatter across the floor, and in that moment, a chill runs down your spine. Is this a sign? Should you throw away this broken rosary? Or is there something deeper happening, something Padre Pio understood that most of us miss? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most overlooked yet profound questions many Catholics face: what to do when your rosary breaks. The answer will not only surprise you, but might completely transform your relationship with prayer and faith itself. Padre Pio, that extraordinary saint who bore the wounds of Christ, once said something remarkable about the rosary. He called it his weapon, not just a string of beads, but a powerful instrument in the spiritual battle we all face. What would such a warrior do when his weapon broke? The answer holds a secret that few understand. If you've ever experienced your rosary breaking during prayer, type in the comments, "Padre Pio, teach me to cherish this treasure." Your comment will help spread this message to others who need to hear it. Many believe a broken rosary is bad luck, a sign of divine displeasure, or simply the end of that particular devotional object. But what if I told you that Padre Pio saw something entirely different in this common occurrence? Something that points to a spiritual reality few of us recognize. Stay with me until the end, because the final revelation about broken rosaries might completely change how you view your relationship with God and the powerful prayers you offer. This isn't just about a devotional object, it's about understanding the very nature of faith itself. The rosary isn't merely a string of beads. In the hands of Padre Pio, it was something far more profound. "The rosary is my weapon," he would declare with unwavering conviction, not a weapon of destruction, but one of protection, healing, and peace. Each bead, each prayer becoming a spiritual bullet against the forces of darkness that surround us daily. Think of your rosary as a soldier thinks of his sword in battle. When the most intense fighting occurs, that's when the weapon shows signs of wear. The scratches and dents aren't signs of failure, they're medals of honor, proof of faithful service in the most challenging moments of spiritual warfare. Padre Pio understood this perhaps better than anyone. Throughout his life, he faced extraordinary spiritual battles, yet he remained steadfast in his devotion to the rosary. He would pray it continuously, sometimes completing 15 or more rosaries in a single day. For him, it wasn't a ritual of repetition, but a lifeline to heaven. What happens in the spiritual realm when we pray the rosary? Each Hail Mary rises like incense before the throne of God. Each decade forms a crown of roses for Our Lady. The beads passing through our fingers become a tangible connection between heaven and earth, between our struggling hearts and divine mercy. I remember meeting Maria, a woman whose faith had been transformed through the rosary. For years, she had abandoned her Catholic roots, wandering through various spiritual practices, seeking peace. One day, she found her grandmother's old, worn rosary in a drawer. Though she barely remembered how to pray it, something moved her to try. That night, she told me, I felt like I had come home after being lost for decades. The physical rosary itself carries weight beyond its simple components. Blessed and set apart for holy purpose, it becomes what the Church calls a sacramental, an object that disposes us to receive grace. It's not magical, but it is powerful, a channel through which God's love flows when approached with sincere faith. So what happens when this sacred instrument breaks in your hands? Is it merely a coincidence, a result of wear and tear, or might there be something deeper happening, a message, perhaps, or an invitation to a new understanding of your spiritual journey? As we explore the deep spiritual significance of the rosary in our lives, I want to share something special with you. Many of you have asked for more guidance on incorporating Padre Pio's spiritual wisdom into your daily lives. That's why we've created the ebook, The Spiritual Secrets of St. Padre Pio. This resource contains powerful prayers, reflections based on his teachings, and practical advice to strengthen your spirituality just like we're discussing today about the Sacred Rosary. The ebook includes Padre Pio's special insights on prayer weapons, spiritual warfare, and maintaining devotion through difficult times. If today's message about your rosary is touching your heart, this material will help you go even deeper. Simply click the link pinned in the comments to access this spiritual treasure that complements today's teaching perfectly. Now let's continue our exploration of what happens when your rosary breaks and what Padre Pio would tell us about this significant moment. When a rosary breaks in your hands, it's easy to feel a momentary panic. In that startling instant, many Catholics wonder, is this a bad omen? Have I done something wrong? But Padre Pio would see this moment through entirely different eyes. A broken rosary can symbolize the intense spiritual battle you're engaged in. Just as a sword might crack under the pressure of combat, your rosary breaking could indicate that your prayers have been particularly powerful, meeting resistance in the spiritual realm. The enemy doesn't want you praying, and the breaking might be evidence of the effectiveness of your devotion. Consider this. Objects of devotion that show wear are signs of a living, active faith. A pristine, untouched rosary might actually be a sad symbol of prayers never offered, of spiritual weapons left unused. Padre Pio's own rosaries showed significant wear because they were constantly in use, constantly engaged in spiritual warfare. The breaking might also serve as a divine reminder that our faith journey needs regular renewal and care. Just as the physical string holding the beads together needs occasional replacement, our spiritual lives require consistent maintenance and attention. Nothing in our faith should be taken for granted. Thomas, a businessman from Boston, shared a profound experience with me. During the most difficult period of my life, when my company was failing and my marriage was strained, my rosary broke during a desperate late-night prayer. Initially, I was devastated, seeing it as confirmation that even God had abandoned me. But something urged me to repair it rather than discard it. The act of carefully restringing those beads became a metaphor for rebuilding my life. By the time I finished the repair, I had gained clarity about steps needed to save both my business and my marriage. A broken rosary might also symbolize a transition in your spiritual journey. Perhaps the prayers you've been offering have been answered, and it's time for a new chapter. Or perhaps God is calling you to a deeper, more mature understanding of prayer itself, moving beyond the physical aid to a more profound interior connection. Remember that in Catholic tradition, apparent setbacks often conceal spiritual opportunities. What looks like destruction might actually be preparation for reconstruction. What seems like an ending might be the beginning of something new and beautiful in your relationship with God. No, absolutely not. When Padre Pio's rosary showed signs of wear or broke, he would never have simply discarded it as if it were ordinary trash. A blessed rosary is a sacramental, an object set apart for a sacred purpose that carries special spiritual significance. Throwing it away casually would be like dismissing the very grace it has helped channel into your life. The Catholic Church has specific teachings about how blessed objects should be treated. While they aren't sacraments themselves, sacramentals deserve reverence because of their holy purpose. They have been dedicated to God's service through a special blessing, becoming vessels that help dispose us to receive divine grace. Padre Pio, who experienced profound mystical encounters daily, understood the profound significance of sacramentals. He would have viewed a blessed rosary as more than just physical material. He would have recognized it as something that bridges the visible and invisible worlds. The beads that have accompanied your prayers have, in a sense, been sanctified by those very prayers rising to heaven. When we carelessly discard blessed objects, we risk adopting a disposable mentality toward the sacred. We live in a throwaway culture where everything is replaceable, temporary, and expendable. But our faith calls us to a different attitude. The things of God, even simple instruments of prayer, deserve honor and respect. If a rosary is truly beyond repair and must be disposed of, Catholic tradition offers proper methods, either respectful burning followed by burying the ashes, or simply burying the rosary in blessed ground, such as a garden. These methods honor the sacred purpose the object has served rather than treating it as mere garbage. But before considering disposal, we should always first consider restoration. Just as God never abandons us when we are damaged or broken, but instead works to heal and restore us, we should extend the same care to the instruments of our faith. The act of repairing a broken rosary carries profound spiritual significance that Padre Pio would have deeply appreciated. When you carefully gather the scattered beads and take the time to restring them, you're not just fixing a devotional object. You're making a powerful statement about your faith. Think about it, repairing your rosary parallels how God works in our broken lives. We all experience spiritual breaks, moments of weakness, doubt, or sin that leave us feeling disconnected from God. Yet the Lord never discards us. Instead, He carefully gathers every scattered piece of our hearts and, with infinite patience, restores us to wholeness. Padre Pio often said, "Pray, hope, and don't worry." This simple yet profound advice applies perfectly to a broken rosary. Rather than seeing the break as a catastrophe, we can approach it with hope, seeing it as an opportunity for renewal and deeper commitment to prayer. Consider the biblical parallel of the fishing nets. When Jesus called His first disciples, they were mending their nets, not throwing them away because they had torn during use. These fishermen understood that their livelihood depended on these tools, so they repaired them with care and dedication. Our spiritual life likewise depends on our prayer tools, and they deserve the same attention. Sister Claire, who worked at a monastery in Italy that Padre Pio often visited, once shared a moving story. An elderly woman came to Padre Pio in tears because her family heirloom rosary had broken, a rosary that had belonged to her grandmother, who had prayed it every day until her death. The woman felt it was an irreplaceable connection to her family's faith. Padre Pio took the broken rosary in his stigmatized hands, held it momentarily in prayer, and told her, "This breaking is not an ending, but a beginning. As you repair these beads, God will repair something within you that you didn't even know was broken." When we repair rather than replace, we practice the virtue of stewardship. We acknowledge that our possessions, especially those dedicated to sacred purposes, have value beyond their material worth. In our throwaway culture, this countercultural act becomes a small but significant rebellion against materialism. The very process of repairing a rosary can become a meditation in itself. Each bead carefully threaded back onto the string can represent a prayer, a thanksgiving, or a petition. The work of your hands becomes an extension of the work of your heart. When your rosary breaks, here's how to restore it with reverence and care. First, gather all the beads carefully. Each one represents prayers that have risen to heaven. Count them to ensure none are missing, especially if they scattered across the floor. Place them in a special container while you prepare for the repair. For a simple repair, you'll need new rosary cord or wire, which can be found at most Catholic supply stores or online. If your rosary has a metal chain connecting the beads, you may need small pliers and jump rings for the repair. Choose materials that will last. Remember, this is an investment in your spiritual journey. Before beginning the physical repair, consider saying a short prayer. Something as simple as, "Lord, as I repair this instrument of prayer, repair also any brokenness in my heart." This transforms the task from mere maintenance to a spiritual exercise. If restringing the rosary yourself, arrange the beads in proper order before beginning. The crucifix, followed by the 5 introductory beads, then the 5 decades with 10 beads each, separated by the larger Our Father beads. Thread them carefully, securing each bead properly so they don't slide too freely, but can still move when prayed. For rosaries with special sentimental or historical value, consider seeking professional help. Many Catholic gift shops offer repair services, and some religious orders specialize in rosary making and repair. They approach this work as a ministry, not just a service. Once repaired, it's beautiful to have your rosary blessed again. Though not strictly necessary, as the original blessing remains, a re-blessing becomes a moment of rededication, a fresh commitment to prayer. Ask your parish priest. Most are happy to perform this blessing after Mass. As a preventative measure, consider investing in a protective rosary case. Keeping your rosary in a dedicated pouch or box when not in use can prevent tangles and breakage. Remember, caring for your rosary is a reflection of your reverence for prayer itself. Padre Pio once said, "Satan fears the rosary like a wild lion fears a whip." This powerful statement reveals why your rosary might break at particular moments. The enemy doesn't want you praying, especially not with this powerful weapon that has defeated darkness throughout centuries of spiritual warfare. When your rosary breaks during intense prayer, consider the timing. Many report their rosaries breaking during prayers for particularly difficult situations, when interceding for a loved one's serious illness, during spiritual attacks, or when praying against entrenched evil. This is no coincidence. The breaking often occurs precisely when your prayers are most effective, when they're penetrating spiritual darkness with heaven's light. The rosary becomes more than beads and string in these moments. It transforms into a conduit of grace so powerful that the physical materials strain under the spiritual energy flowing through them. Like a wire carrying too much electrical current, the physical components can give way under the weight of spiritual power. Padre Pio understood this dynamic better than most. His own hands, marked with the stigmata, would bleed more profusely during spiritual battles. His body showed physical signs of the invisible warfare he engaged in. Similarly, your rosary's breaking might be the visible manifestation of an invisible battle being waged and won through your faithful prayers. This perspective transforms what seems like a mishap into a badge of honor. Rather than feeling discouraged when your rosary breaks, you might instead recognize it as confirmation that your prayers are making a real difference in the spiritual realm. The breaking becomes not a sign of failure, but of effectiveness. The rosary has been a central weapon in spiritual battles throughout church history. When Padre Pio spoke of it as his weapon, he stood in a long tradition of saints and ordinary believers who recognized its extraordinary power. Dating back to the 13th century, when tradition holds that Our Lady gave the rosary to St. Dominic, this prayer has been associated with decisive spiritual victories. The Battle of Lepanto in 1571 stands as perhaps the most famous example, when Pope St. Pius V called all of Europe to pray the rosary, and against overwhelming odds, Christian forces achieved a crucial victory that many attribute directly to these prayers. Throughout history, countless saints have championed the rosary. Saint Louis de Montfort called it the most powerful weapon to touch the heart of Jesus. St. Padre Pio himself would pray dozens of rosaries daily, understanding its effectiveness against evil. Pope St. John Paul II, who called the rosary his favorite prayer, added the luminous mysteries to help believers contemplate Christ's public ministry more deeply. When your rosary breaks, you're holding something that connects you not just to heaven, but to this rich historical tradition of faith. The very beads in your hands link you to millions of believers throughout the centuries who have fingered similar beads in times of joy, sorrow, warfare, peace, abundance, and scarcity. Consider that your broken rosary may have accompanied you through your own personal history. Perhaps it was given to you at a significant moment, blessed by a special priest, or present during crucial turning points in your life. These memories and moments of grace are embedded within those beads. When we repair rather than replace them, we honor not just the object, but the spiritual journey it represents. When your rosary breaks, remember Padre Pio's profound words. The rosary is the weapon for these times. This isn't just poetic language, it's a spiritual reality. A broken rosary isn't a sign of abandonment, but rather evidence of spiritual engagement. Like a sword that shows wear from battle, your rosary's condition testifies to prayers offered, tears shed, and graces received. Throughout this journey, we've discovered that a broken rosary carries deep symbolic meaning. It reminds us that our faith, like the string that holds the beads together, requires constant care and renewal. The breaking becomes an invitation, not to discard, but to restore with even greater reverence and commitment. Padre Pio would tell us that perseverance in prayer, especially when facing obstacles, is one of the greatest signs of love for God. To pray, hope, and don't worry, he often counseled. Repairing your rosary embodies this advice perfectly. It's an act of continued prayer, sustained hope, and trust rather than anxiety. The next time your rosary breaks, remember, this is not a sign to abandon your prayers. Rather, it's a moment to deepen your commitment. Gather those scattered beads with loving care. See in each one the prayers that have already risen to heaven and the many more still waiting to be offered. Our faith is never about perfection. It's about persistence. It's not about flawless appearances, but faithful hearts. Your repaired rosary, with perhaps a slightly different cord or a bead that doesn't quite match the others, becomes a beautiful symbol of this truth. It shows that you valued your connection to prayer enough to restore it rather than replace it. If today's message has touched your heart, write in the comments, "My rosary, my treasure." Your comment will help spread this message to others who need this encouragement in their faith journey. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this video with someone who might be struggling with their prayer life. Your simple act of sharing could be exactly what someone needs to renew their devotion. We need your support to continue spreading these teachings about faith and devotion. If our videos have blessed you, please consider becoming a member of our channel. Your support allows us to create more content that strengthens faith and brings the timeless wisdom of saints like Padre Pio to today's world. May God bless you abundantly. May Our Lady wrap her mantle of protection around you. And may the wisdom of Padre Pio continue to guide you in your journey of faith. Remember his words, "The rosary is a gem of prayers, a treasury of heavenly graces. Blessed is the soul who keeps it close to their heart." Dear friends, every time we create these videos about Padre Pio's timeless wisdom, we're answering a calling to bring spiritual comfort to those who need it most. This ministry reaches thousands of souls searching for answers in difficult times, but we can only continue with your heartfelt support. By becoming a member today, you're not just helping us create more content, you're joining a worldwide spiritual family united by faith and devotion. Your membership allows us to research deeper teachings, create more powerful videos, and reach those who desperately need these messages of hope. If our videos have touched your heart, please consider hitting that membership button below. Every like helps, every share extends our reach, but your membership sustains this mission in a special way. Together, we're building something beautiful in this digital world, a beacon of faith that Padre Pio himself would surely bless. Join our spiritual family today, and let's continue this sacred journey together.